Raindrops pattered against the hospital window as Sarah Chen stood in the hallway of the pediatric ward, gazing at the gloomy sky outside. The June rainy season always arrived unexpectedly, much like the unforeseen changes in life. Head Nurse Chen, the child in bed 502 has a fever again. The voice of a young nurse interrupted her thoughts. Sarah quickly shifted her gaze and strode toward the ward. This was her 8th year working at the children's hospital, and every small face in the ward felt like her own child. "It's okay, Tommy. You'll get better soon," Sarah said softly as she measured the little boy's temperature, expertly replacing his fever patch. Her voice could comfort every child in the ward, yet she hadn't figured out how to comfort her own daughter. Before finishing her shift, Sarah did her routine checks around the ward. The clock at the end of the hallway read 8:15 p.m. She sighed, pulling out her phone. On the screen was a short message from Emma sent half an hour ago, "I've eaten." Just 3 words, no emojis, no further conversation. 5 years ago, an accident took away her husband and with him, Emma's smile. The once lively little girl now hid herself away in her sketchbooks and colors. Sarah knew what her daughter was drawing. It was always the same figure, a man in a blue shirt, the last image Emma had of her father. Stepping out of the hospital, Sarah opened her umbrella as the rain intensified. Raindrops splashed into small puddles at her feet. By the garbage bins near the hospital's back door, she heard a faint meow. At first, she thought it was her imagination, but then the sound came again, tinged with a pleading note. Sarah paused and looked around. A small white shape was curled up behind the garbage bin. She crouched down and, by the dim light of the street lamp, saw a soaked white cat. Its front left paw seemed injured, smeared with mud and blood. "Are you okay, little one?" Sarah asked softly. The white cat lifted its head, and its piercing blue eyes locked onto hers. That gaze reminded Sarah of Emma, filled with unease and expectation. After a moment of hesitation, Sarah took off her coat and wrapped it around the cat. The little creature didn't struggle, instead, it let out a faint purr in her arms. "Let's get you home for now," she murmured, her voice unintentionally tender. On the way home, Sarah thought about how Emma had once wanted a pet. But after her husband's death, Sarah had poured all her energy into work, convincing herself there was no time to care for an animal. Perhaps that had been a mistake. The rain continued as Sarah arrived at her apartment building. She carried the cat into the elevator, watching the numbers climb to the 12th floor. Her heart beat faster than usual. Would Emma like this unexpected visitor? The sound of her key turning the lock was accompanied by light spilling through the gap in the door. Emma was sitting on the couch, sketching. Without looking up, she said, "Mom, you're back." "Yes, and I brought a little friend home," Sarah replied softly, setting the white cat down on the floor. Emma finally looked up, her pencil pausing midair. The cat shook its wet fur and elegantly walked toward Emma. Under Sarah's watchful eye, Emma put down her sketchbook and tentatively reached out her hand. The cat nuzzled her fingers, purring contentedly. "She's hurt," Emma said suddenly, her voice carrying a concern Sarah hadn't heard in a long time. "Yes, she is. Should we bandage her up together?" Emma nodded and got up to fetch the first aid kit. Sarah noticed the sketch in her daughter's book, a familiar blue figure, now accompanied by a vague white outline. The rain outside began to lighten as Sarah watched Emma carefully tend to the cat's injured paw. A warmth she hadn't felt in years spread through her chest. Perhaps this uninvited guest on a rainy night might bring the change they both needed. "Let's call her Luna," Emma said softly. It was the longest sentence she had spoken in weeks. "Why Luna?" "Because her fur looks like moonlight," Emma replied, stroking the cat's head. A small smile played at her lips. "And it's a full moon tonight." Sarah walked to the window. The clouds were parting, revealing a quiet, glowing moon. Turning back, she saw Emma and Luna curled up together, their silhouettes bathed in soft light. For the first time, their home felt a little less empty. Perhaps it was fate. On an ordinary rainy night, an injured white cat had brought them the change they'd been waiting for. The morning sunlight filtered through the gaps in the curtains, casting a warm glow in the living room. Sarah sipped her coffee, watching a rare moment of tranquility unfold before her. Emma sat on the carpet, Luna elegantly curled up beside her, as her daughter focused intently on drawing something. It was the first time in 5 years Sarah had seen Emma sketching anything other than her father's figure. "Emma, breakfast is ready," Sarah said softly. Usually, Emma would ignore her, remaining absorbed in her own world. But today, she looked up, her eyes sparkling with a light Sarah hadn't seen in years. "Mom, look," Emma said, holding up her sketchbook. On the page was a vivid drawing of a white cat, with the figure of a nurse standing beside it. Sarah froze. It was the first time Emma had drawn her. Luna gracefully leapt onto the dining table, settling into the empty seat in front of Emma. Sarah instinctively wanted to scold her, but seeing the rare smile on her daughter's face, she held her tongue. "Luna's paw seems much better," Emma remarked while eating her breakfast. Sarah noticed for the first time that the bandage she had applied the night before had been rubbed off, revealing a wound that had healed remarkably quickly. "Yes, she's a tough little one," Sarah said, glancing at the clock. "I have to work at the hospital today. Can you take care of Luna?" Emma nodded solemnly. "I will." It was the first time in years Sarah had seen her daughter take something so seriously. The hospital buzzed with its usual hustle. During her rounds, Sarah's phone buzzed with a video call from home. Worried, she stepped into a quiet corner to answer. Emma's excited face filled the screen. "Mom, Luna can do math," Emma exclaimed, her voice brimming with disbelief and joy. On the video, Emma laid out a few cookies and asked Luna, "What's 1 plus 2? The white cat tapped its paw 3 times. Sarah couldn't help but laugh. This cat truly was extraordinary. "It's amazing, isn't it?" Emma's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Yes, she's definitely a special little one," Sarah replied. After hanging up, she leaned against the wall, her eyes misty. How long had it been since she'd heard such joy in Emma's voice? That evening, Sarah returned home to find Emma teaching Luna to recognize color cards. Even more astonishingly, Luna seemed to understand, always tapping the correct card Emma pointed to. "Mom, Luna is so smart," Emma said, hugging the cat with a radiant smile. "She even gives me suggestions when I'm drawing." "Suggestions?" Sarah asked, intrigued. "Yes, when I'm stuck or unhappy with my drawing, she'll gently tap my pencil, as if telling me what to do," Emma explained. "And she always knows when I'm feeling sad." Sarah walked into Emma's room and noticed new drawings on the walls. They were no longer filled with solitary figures but vibrant and lively scenes. Luna, children from the hospital, and even Emma and Sarah themselves were depicted in these colorful creations. "I was thinking," Emma said suddenly, "maybe we could take Luna to the hospital to see the sick kids. I'm sure she'd make them happy." Sarah was taken aback. Since her husband's passing, Emma had rarely shown interest in anything, let alone in helping others. What kind of magic had this cat brought into their lives? "Of course," Sarah said, kneeling down to stroke Luna's fur. "But we'll need to take her for a checkup first, to make sure she's healthy." Luna seemed to understand their conversation, letting out a soft meow. Emma beamed and hugged her. "She agrees." That night, Sarah sat on the balcony, watching the moonlight cast its glow over the city. Luna silently appeared beside her, her blue eyes reflecting the moonlight with a profound depth. "Thank you, Luna," Sarah whispered. "Thank you for bringing Emma's smile back." Luna rubbed against her hand, as if to say, "This is just the beginning." Sarah glanced back into the house, where Emma was packing her art supplies. A warmth spread through her chest. Perhaps this uninvited guest from that rainy night truly was a gift from above. Late at night, Sarah passed by Emma's room and overheard her talking to Luna. "You know, since you came, I've had fewer nightmares. And I've started remembering Dad's smile, instead of just the way he looked when he left." Leaning against the doorframe, Sarah silently wiped away her tears. She knew her family was slowly healing, and it all began with the arrival of that mysterious white cat on a stormy night. The July sunlight poured through the curtains, illuminating the room. Sarah gently pushed open Emma's door. Her daughter was still asleep, while Luna, as usual, was curled up protectively on Emma's pillow. This had become Sarah's favorite morning sight. "Good morning, Luna," Sarah whispered. The white cat stretched gracefully, tiptoed off the bed, and patted softly, as if knowing not to disturb Emma's sleep. At the breakfast table, Sarah prepared food while reflecting on the changes over the past weeks. Since Luna arrived, Emma's nightmares had significantly decreased. Even more remarkably, whenever Emma woke up in the middle of the night, Luna would immediately sense it. She would gently pat Emma's face with her paw or nuzzle her hand until Emma drifted back to sleep. "Mom, it's Saturday," Emma said, rubbing her sleepy eyes as she walked out of her room, Luna close behind. "We're taking Luna to the hospital today, remember?" Sarah nodded. "Yes, but first, let's have breakfast." She watched Emma eagerly sit down at the table, a heartwarming change from the weekends when she would struggle to pull her daughter away from her sketchbooks. During breakfast, Emma excitedly shared her latest drawings. Her sketchbook no longer featured solitary, shadowy figures. Instead, it was filled with vibrant and lively scenes, Luna basking in the sunlight, children playing in the hospital, and even Sarah cooking in the kitchen. "This is my newest one," Emma flipped to a page, pointing at 3 figures. "That's Dad, Mom, me, and Luna." Sarah noticed that the depiction of her late husband wasn't a silhouette anymore but a warm, smiling face. Overcome with emotion, she hugged Emma, her eyes misting. When they arrived at the hospital, Luna remained unexpectedly calm. She stayed quietly in her special pet carrier, her blue eyes curiously observing her surroundings. Emma held the carrier tightly, standing tall and composed like a little adult. "Is this the special cat you mentioned, Nurse Chen?" the pediatric chief asked with a smile. Sarah had previously discussed with the hospital the idea of involving Luna in simple animal therapy sessions. "Yes," Sarah replied. "Luna is incredibly gentle and perceptive. She's already helped my daughter overcome so much." With permission granted, they headed to the activity room outside the ICU. It was filled with children undergoing long-term treatment. Most were withdrawn and silent, weighed down by their illnesses. Emma carefully opened the carrier, and Luna stepped out gracefully, surveying the room. What happened next astonished everyone. Luna walked directly toward a little girl sitting silently in the corner. The girl had been in the hospital for 3 months. She had lost all her hair due to chemotherapy and often wrapped herself in a blanket, avoiding interaction. But now, Luna gently brushed her hand. The girl's eyes lit up. "She's so beautiful," the girl whispered, the first words the staff had heard from her in 3 months. "Like a little angel." Emma stepped forward and introduced Luna. "Her name's Luna. She loves it when people scratch under her chin." The 2 girls quickly struck up a conversation, filling the room with long-absent laughter. Over the next few hours, Luna brought joy to every child she met. She played with a boy during his physical therapy, comforted a scared girl about to receive an injection, and seemed to instinctively know which child needed her the most. "Mom," Emma said on the way home, "I want to draw Luna for the kids at the hospital." "What do you mean?" Sarah asked curiously. "I want to create pictures of Luna's stories so the kids who can't see her can still feel her warmth," Emma explained earnestly. "And I want to include my story too, to tell them not to be afraid." Sarah was too moved to speak. Her daughter was learning to care for others, to express herself, to share. And it was all thanks to the uninvited guest from that rainy night. That evening, Sarah sat on Emma's bed, watching her daughter and Luna cuddle together. Emma was working on a new storybook. In her drawings, Luna appeared as a small angel, spreading warmth and light to every child's heart. "Mom," Emma said without looking up, "I think Luna is a messenger sent from above. She's not just here to help me but to help everyone who needs warmth." Sarah stroked Luna's fur and softly said, "Yes, she truly is a miracle." Luna's sapphire eyes gazed at them, as if to say, "This is my mission." Outside, a full moon rose silently, casting its gentle glow, just like that fateful rainy night when everything began. The September breeze carried the coolness of early autumn. Sarah stood in the hospital hallway, gazing at the newly added paintings on the wall. They were part of Emma's The Story of Luna series, depicting a white cat that brought warmth and comfort to children battling pain and fear. These illustrations not only warmed the hearts of the hospitalized children but also touched countless parents passing through. Nurse Chen, a nurse, came running over. "Jack in room 502 said he saw Luna last night." Sarah froze for a moment. Luna had been at home last night. How could she have appeared at the hospital? But this wasn't the first time she had heard such stories. Over the past 2 months, hospitalized children often claimed to see Luna at night, especially during their most painful moments. "What did he say about how Luna appeared?" Sarah asked. "He said he couldn't sleep because of the pain, then saw a white light, and Luna appeared at his bedside, gently brushing his hand. After that, the pain seemed to subside, and he fell asleep," the nurse explained, adding, "Oddly enough, there's no sign of anything on the surveillance footage." Sarah pondered the story. It reminded her of something Emma once said: "Luna seems to be able to appear in many places at once, as long as someone needs her." When Sarah returned home, Emma was on the balcony painting, with Luna quietly lying beside her. Lately, Emma had been experimenting with different styles, determined to create artwork that could communicate Luna's love and hope to more people. "Mom," Emma set down her paintbrush, "do you believe in miracles?" Sarah sat beside her. "Why do you ask all of a sudden?" "I just feel like Luna isn't an ordinary cat." Emma gazed at the distant sky. "Sometimes, when I wake up, I see a faint light glowing around her. And it seems like she knows exactly what everyone is thinking." Sarah thought about the stories from the hospital, nodding softly. Maybe she truly is a miracle. Luna suddenly stood, walking to the balcony railing and looking up at the sky. The sunset's glow bathed her snow-white fur, making her appear as if she were radiating a faint light. That night, Emma had a strange dream. In it, Luna transformed into a glowing spirit and told her, "My mission is almost complete." When Emma woke, she found Luna staring at her with those deep blue eyes, filled with an indescribable sorrow. The next morning, Emma woke unusually early. "Mom, can we take Luna to the beach today?" she pleaded. "Just for the afternoon." Sarah hesitated, thinking about her work at the hospital, but seeing the eager looks in both Emma's and Luna's eyes, she agreed. Something about Luna felt different today, as though she was waiting for something. The breeze at the beach was gentle. Emma sat on the sand, painting the night Luna first arrived in their lives. Sarah sat under a sunshade, watching Luna wander along the shoreline, her white figure blending with the sunlight. Finished. Emma held up her sketchbook excitedly. Just then, a strange light enveloped the beach. Sarah watched in awe as Luna's body began to emit a soft, pure glow, like moonlight. "Luna." Emma put down her sketchbook and ran toward the cat. Luna turned, her gaze filled with affection. "I knew it," Emma whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. "You're an angel, aren't you?" Luna let out a soft meow, the sound carrying a confirmation. She nuzzled Emma's hand, then walked over to Sarah, lightly tapping her knee with her head. "Are you leaving us?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling. Luna nodded, her blue eyes shimmering with wisdom. She took a few steps back, her glow intensifying. "Wait!" Emma cried. can I hug you one last time? Luna returned to Emma, allowing the girl to embrace her tightly. Emma whispered in her ear, thank you for teaching me how to love again, how to care for others. I'll never forget you. Sarah knelt beside them, stroking Luna's fur. Thank you for all the miracles you've brought into our lives. Luna gently patted Emma's sketchbook with her paw, as if to say, keep drawing, and spread love to those who need it. Then, she turned toward the sea, her glowing body becoming brighter and brighter. In a burst of dazzling light, Luna's form began to fade, transforming into countless specks of light that floated skyward. Emma clung to Sarah, silent tears streaming down her face, but a serene smile lit her features. Mom, Emma wiped her tears, Luna hasn't really left us, has she? As long as we remember what she taught us, she'll always be here. Sarah looked at her daughter, her heart swelling with pride and emotion. Yes, she lives on in our hearts, in your drawings, and in everyone touched by her story. As the sun set, the mother and daughter packed up their things to head home. Emma took one last look at the sea and suddenly said, Mom, I want to repaint the hospital murals, to make them even better. I want more people to know that love can heal everything. Sarah put an arm around her daughter's shoulders, watching the final rays of sunlight fade. Luna would be so proud of you. On the way home, Emma flipped through her sketchbook and found a message on the last page. It hadn't been there before, and the faint markings looked as though they'd been drawn by a paw. The message read, Asterisk, love never disappears, it simply takes a different form. Asterisk. 5 years later, in the spring, Sarah stood in the children's ward hallway of the hospital, gazing at the warm paintings on the walls. These works were no longer confined to a single hospital, they had spread to children's hospitals nationwide. They told the story of a magical white cat, bringing hope and strength to countless sick children. Emma was now in high school, but she still visited the hospital every weekend to share Luna's story with the children and teach them how to paint. Her style had matured, yet it retained its original innocence and warmth. Dr. Chen, a nurse, approached Sarah. She had completed her medical training. The little girl in room 1012 said she dreamed of Luna again last night. Sarah smiled and nodded. Over the years, children often claimed to see Luna during their most painful moments, or dreamt of her. Whenever she heard these stories, Sarah thought of that farewell evening by the sea. On a Saturday afternoon, Emma held a special art exhibition in the hospital's activity room. It was her new series commemorating the 7th anniversary of meeting Luna. This painting is called The First Encounter, Emma explained to the children gathered around. It was a rainy night when a wounded white cat, glowing with a magical light, knocked on our door. The children listened intently, even the typically quiet and withdrawn patients inching closer. Emma's storytelling had a unique power to convey love and hope. Emma, a little girl who had just finished chemotherapy, hesitated before asking, was Luna really an angel? Emma knelt and hugged her gently. I believe she was. But you know what? There's a Luna in everyone's heart. When we learn to care for others and share warmth, we become someone else's angel too. Sarah leaned against the doorway, watching the scene. Emma was no longer the little girl who hid in her sketchbooks, she had found her way to bring warmth to others. On the way home that evening, Emma suddenly said, Mom, I've applied to major in art therapy. Sarah was surprised. You want to be an art therapist? Yes, Emma nodded earnestly. Over the years, I've realized that art isn't just about expression, it's about healing. Just like Luna healed us in her own way, I want to use art to help more people. Moved, Sarah hugged her daughter tightly. Emma had chosen a path that carried on Luna's mission, the most meaningful tribute to their beloved companion. At home, Emma took out a carefully kept box. Inside were her original Luna-themed artworks, the bandage Luna had left behind that rainy night, and the mysterious message on the final page. Mom, Emma said, gently stroking a drawing, do you think Luna is still watching over us somewhere? At that moment, moonlight streamed through the window, falling on the paintings. The depictions of Luna seemed to come alive, her eyes glowing with that familiar warmth. "I believe she's always been here," Sarah replied, "in the hearts of everyone touched by your art, in every child who learns to give love." Emma walked to the window, gazing at the full moon. "Sometimes I feel like Luna didn't come to us by accident. Back then, we were so lost in pain, we forgot how to love or see beauty. She taught us the most important lesson." Sarah thought of her late husband. Over the years, she and Emma had finally learned to cherish his love and memories, free from overwhelming sadness. "By the way," Emma said, remembering something, "the hospital is launching a new project next week. It's to help children express their emotions through art. The director wants to name it the Luna Project." Sarah's eyes brimmed with tears. "That's the perfect name." Emma opened her sketchpad and began working on a new piece. The painting showed a white cat, glowing with a gentle light, leading a group of children out of the darkness and toward a hopeful tomorrow. In the corner, she wrote, "Dear Luna, 7 years have passed, and I've held on to everything you taught me. Now it's my turn to pass on this warmth. Forever yours. Emma ****. The moonlight softly illuminated the painting, as if answering Emma's heartfelt words. Sarah thought she heard a familiar meow, so gentle, so warm, just like that fateful rainy night. Outside, a single leaf drifted down, tracing a graceful arc in the moonlit sky. Emma and Sarah shared a smile, knowing that Luna's story would never truly end. Because love and hope, like a baton, are passed on endlessly, illuminating hearts in need of warmth. This was Luna's greatest gift, teaching them to love and to share that love. In every lonely night and every wounded soul, there will always be a warm light, reminding us, love never disappears, it simply takes on a new form. The end of one story is the beginning of another. And Luna's warmth will forever light the way ahead.